Long ago, in a village where the sun shined bright and the rain fell soft, there lived a young woman called Adaeze, but everyone called her Ada. She was born to her parents in their old age after so many years of trying. Ada was a gift. She was beautiful, smart, kind, and tall. Everyone around her loved her. But life can change in a blink of an eye. When Ada turned 16, her mother passed away after a short illness. 2 months later, her father followed suit. His heart could not bear to live without his wife. Just like that, Ada became an orphan. Quiet and humble, with no one to care for her. After the burial, Ada couldn't sustain herself. She left her village to Lagos, the city that never sleeps, to look for a job. She began selling water in traffic. And she experienced a lot of terrible things hawking water in traffic. That was where she met Mrs. Okafor, a woman who used to buy water from her in traffic when driving. While she hawked then, with trembling hands and tired eyes, Ada begged Mrs. Okafor while she was selling water to her, "Please, I will do anything. Just give me a place to stay." She begged Mrs. Okafor with tears in her eyes to take her in as a maid and explained everything that has happened to her. And that was how she became a house help in the Okafors, a very rich and proud family. The Okafors lived in a big house with a tall gate, marble floor, and a chandelier that sparkled like the sun. They had 3 children, 2 grown-up sons and a grown-up daughter. They didn't know how to do anything except bath themselves. Madam Okafor liked to show off. She always said, "We are not like others, we are better." Chief Okafor wore agbada even to the toilet. He called himself a man of class. Ada woke up early every day. She cleaned everywhere, washed, cooked, and still got shouted at. Even when she did everything right, they said it was wrong. But Ada never talked back. She just wiped her tears and kept walking. She was like a shadow in the house, seen but not heard. One day, a man named George visited. He was dressed in a simple cloth. His car was small, with a door that didn't close properly. He said Chief Okafor had once hired him to build a house, a big project. But after finishing, the chief paid only half and then intimidated him into silence. That day, George entered the Okafor's mansion again, not with respect, but with boldness.
"I came for my money, Mr. Okafor,"
he said simply. Mr. Okafor scoffed.
"Because of chicken change, look at you, I owe you nothing."
George refused to leave. The house grew tense. Then Mr. Okafor smiled, looked around and clapped his hands.
"Ada!"
She came running. Then in front of everyone, he pointed at her and said,
"Take her. She's of no use to me. I can get another poor rat to work here. She's your payment, George."
George was in shock.
"Take Ada. She's worthless. Doesn't add value to my house. Also, I can get another poor person to come work for my family."
His daughter and sons came out and laughed at Ada. His daughter said,
"Oh, Daddy, you did well. Ada should marry her fellow wretched person. She stinks and doesn't even know how to speak good English."
Mrs. Okafor laughed so loud. "Ada," she said, "go in there, get your things. Now you are married." George stood there like a statue. But when he looked at Ada, she was so unkempt yet very charming and beautiful. He answered,
"Okay, I will go with her."
Ada broke down in tears, held Mr. Okafor's leg and began to beg, but he kicked her hand. Mrs. Okafor's voice came up again. "Ada, go in, pack your bags and leave now." Ada went into the small room with tears in her eyes as she packed her bags and followed Mr. George. They drove in silence for hours. She cried all through. George said nothing. After an hour, they reached a compound. It looked simple but very clean. A warm elderly woman came out. "This is my auntie," George said. "We will stay here for now." "Hope you don't mind," George asked. Ada said nothing. The auntie took Ada in like a daughter. She fed her, gave her clean cloth to wear. That night, Ada slept on a real bed, not on the floor like the Okafor's house. She cried herself to sleep. But this time, not just tears of sorrow, that was relief. Weeks passed. George treated her with such kindness and dignity. He never touched her. He took her to the mall to get new dresses for herself, body lotion, and to make her hair. One day she woke up, perceiving the smell of the fresh meal from the kitchen. She rushed to help in making the dish, but George asked her to go back and rest until he's done. She was amazed. While they were having the breakfast George made in the parlor, he asked her about her dreams. She told him she had always wanted to become a baker. "Then bake," he said. She smiled and told George that she doesn't have any experience on how to bake. He bought her a phone, a cooking manual, and showed her how to use the internet to look for recipes. She began making small pastries and learned online. Neighbors who visited always left with a smile and a piece of her pastry. "Ah, Ada, if you open a bakery, we will spend all our money on your sweet snacks, so," one of the neighbors said after Ada gave her a piece of cake upon coming to visit them. Ada laughed shyly. She didn't believe in herself. After a while of trying and improving, a company called her from nowhere.
Okay, my name is Megan. I'm calling from Premium Company. Am I speaking to Ada?
She happily replied, "Yes, you are."
Okay, someone recommended you, she said. Can you make 50 cupcakes for us for a trial?
Ada was shocked and nervous. "Yes, I can." She ended the call and ran to George. "I just received a call from a company asking to make some cupcakes for them for trial. I am afraid I will mess it up," she cried. George held her hand. "Ada, you can do it. I believe in you." The next day, they paid her. She danced with their lads. She showed and hugged George. He took her to the market himself. They bought flour, eggs, butter, everything needed, and got home. When she returned, she quickly handed the remaining money from the market to George. He pushed it back to her gently. "It is your money, Ada. Use it for yourself." She knelt down and said through tears, "Thank you for not touching me, for allowing me be free, for giving me peace, and for accepting me." George helped her up. "Ada, I love you. I will wait until you are ready." Ada hugged him tightly, then smiled and dashed into the kitchen with joy. Her heart was racing with the job. The cupcakes came out beautifully and the company loved it. Time passed, her pastries became famous. Orders came from companies, weddings, birthday, and even hotels. George, surprised and amazed by her, he enrolled her in the best catering school in town. She studied during the day and baked at night. They were a perfect team. Then one morning, George said, "Get dressed, we are going to somewhere." He drove them for hours until they got to a large estate. The gate opened and they entered. A very beautiful mansion, more beautiful than the Okafors. Marble floor, a garden of flower, and a fountain at the entrance. Ada's mouth opened in shock. "George, whose house is this?" she asked. He smiled. "It is ours. I just signed the documents. I got a big contract. The same one Chief Okafor used to handle. But because of pride and arrogance, he lost everything he had, and no one wants to help him. Mr. Okafor even called me to threaten me not to accept the contract, but I ended the call on him. Now it's mine. Pride comes before downfall, I guess," George said. Ada fell to her knees in joy. He picked her up. "You are not just my wife. You are my miracle," he said. That night, they held a small Thanksgiving with the auntie and some neighbors. And Ada, the orphan girl, once thrown out like trash, became the queen of her own castle, with a man who treated her like the treasure she truly was. 1 year later, Ada stood at the front of a grand hall, wearing a white chef coat and a big smile. The hall was filled with people, cameras flashing, music playing softly. She had just graduated from the best catering school in the state, at the top of her class. When her name was called, she walked across the stage with poise and confidence. The crowd applauded. Among them was George, holding a bouquet of flowers. His eyes was filled with pride. His aunt dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief, whispering, "That is my daughter." After the ceremony, George took Ada's hand and said to her ears, "This is just the beginning, my love." 2 months later, they held a grand opening for her massive bakery in town. It was painted cream and gold that showcased pastries that looked like art. A big sign above the door, Ada's oven. People came from all over the place. Her cupcake, meat pie, Donuts and cake became the talk of the town. Newspapers and blogs wrote about her. She got featured on local TV. From house help to a business mogul, meet the young woman behind the biggest bakery in town. She employed over 200 people, mostly young women like her, who had once been struggling. She taught them, loved them, and paid them well. Started a free baking class on Saturdays for teenagers in the community. Every weekend, the bakery buzzed with laughter, flour, and dreams. George stood beside her all through it, her biggest cheerleader and strongest support. He opened a small construction office behind the bakery and started training boys from the neighborhood. Together, they were building people as much as they were building wealth. Mr. Okafor's daughter got married to a rich man also, but due to the fact that she was spoiled and didn't know how to do anything, she was returned to her father's house by her husband, where she now did everything for herself. And because they could barely afford anything again, the boys ended up becoming a nuisance to the community and town. One was killed in robbery, and the other one was always at home and still fed by his struggling parents. One evening, Ada stood outside. George wrapped his arms around her. Ada, look at you now. You have turned your pain into power. She smiled. No, George, we did this together. You gave me one thing I never had, a safe place to grow. He kissed her forehead gently. Inside the bakery, the smell of butter and hope filled the air. In life, everyone deserves an equal chance. Treat people how you want to be treated. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye.